Okay, so how is everyone? Hi, who all are joining? Hi, Anshika. Hi, Ridhima. Hi, Devbhumi. Yeah. Meanwhile, start typing, which cities are you from? While people are joining, yes, Lucknow, Greater Noida, Delhi, okay, Gurugram, Nagpur, okay. Okay, friends. So, who all are joining for the first time today? Just type FT if you're joining for the first time in Parenting Sadhana Live today. Anya, Devbrat. Okay. Kunal. Okay. Okay. So, just one update before we start. So, on common request, from a lot of our community members, we are now changing the time of our live workshop from 9:15 to 9:30 p.m. Okay, because a lot of parents were not able to finish up with their dinner and all. So now we are moving the time 15 minutes ahead. Okay, so just make this note. And now let's get started with our today's session. So today's topic is, if your child is already scoring between 80 to 90%, amongst that high bracket, then what can you do to make your child truly stand out? Okay. So first of all, quickly just type in how many of you have their children who are scoring in this bracket of maybe late 70s or 80s, 90s. A lot of you, a lot. Okay. Okay. So tell me honestly, like, what do you do when you see that they are scoring in this range? Okay, what do you tell to them? That you have done very well, or what is it? What is the typical thing that you tell them? You tell them that they can still do better. How many of you tell them that they can still do better? Right? SB, still do better. What else do you tell them? Study more, study harder. What else? Spend less time on mobile phone. Okay. Okay. Um, okay. So before we ask them to do better, like, have you thought, like, why is it that they should, what is it that they should be doing better? Or why is it that they should be doing better? Okay, let me come to that a little later. Let me first of all, discuss a little bit on the part that, this is something that is mostly overlooked and missed. We typically pay a lot of attention that the child is already in 80 to 90% bracket. So if he does well, if he has the potential, that means that he is intelligent. So if he puts in hard work, he can score much better also, right? Now, this is where it gets very tricky. And this is something that we never really think through. It's just on autopilot that we are typically saying that, okay, if you're doing better, let's make it even better, right? How many of you are doing that? So, how can they do better is one thing, but what is it that they should be better at? We should be asking that when the child is already at 80 to 90% marks. Okay, this is a little different kind of perspective that we'll be sharing today. And this is one of the very important things which is hardly talked about, parents. No one typically talks about that. What should you do with a child who's in that 80 to 90% bracket? Because the whole focus is that, okay, we have to make them reach towards the 90, late 90s and all of that. So the whole focus is on that. But today I'll share some very important perspectives and how you should be dealing with children of this high percentage score to truly stand out. Okay. So the first thing that we should be looking at is that how easily or with how much difficulty have they achieved this target. Okay. Have you ever seen or paid attention to this aspect? How many of you have actually looked at this part, that how easily or with how much difficulty have they achieved whatever they have achieved? See, what happens if they have achieved the target easily, as in if you see them playing, doing all the other things also, and then they have managed to get 85% marks, what do we tell them? अरे बिना अच्छे से पढ़े इतने मार्क्स आ गए तो पढ़ के तो कितने अच्छे आ जाएंगे, right? Don't we tell them that? Typically that's what we do, right? If the child is at 82%, what do we tell them? कि next time 85 87 तो आ ही सकते हैं ना, थोड़ा सा और पढ़ लेना, right? So basically we are just pushing for better marks, right? Besides that, what else do we focus upon? Anyone who is focusing on anything beyond marks or doing something else, just write MM, much more, or BM, beyond marks. Okay, so let's discuss this. If the child has gotten these marks with a lot of hard work and putting in a lot of efforts, putting in a lot of hours, what do we say? Try to अच्छा किया, but we are still not there. थोड़ा और मेहनत करनी पड़ेगी. Then also we say the same thing, right? So basically, we keep chasing marks till when? We don't know. None of us have answer for that. If anyone has the answer for that, please type in the chat box. Till when are we chasing the marks? What do you need to focus on when your child is already in this bracket? First of all, understand, why are you asking him to do better? What is the purpose? What is your purpose? I know it is sounding like a very silly and basic question, but it is a very important question. Trust me, parents, we really don't think through these things. We think, Are, you give me, you give me your answers. What is your purpose of asking them to do better when they are already in that bracket? Can do better. So, yeah, can do better. So, why not? Ankita is saying is much more capable, right? A lot of people. Yeah, you don't get admissions with 90% marks. You don't get admissions with 90% marks anywhere these days. What is, when you say anywhere, what is that anywhere? Some handful of colleges, right? लेकिन admission तो 99% से भी नहीं हो ना आजकल. Even in some colleges, 99% people last year on 100% also, everything had just got closed for BCom honors in SRCC, right? So अभी ये क्या गारंटी है कि जब आप बच्चे को पढ़ोगे, बोलोगे कि बेटर करो, तो वो 100% ही सीधे ले आएगा, नॉट इवन 99%. गारंटी तो 99% पे भी नहीं है, और अगर ज्यादा पढ़ने पर भी 100% आ जाएंगे, इसकी आप गारंटी ले सकते हो? नहीं, राइट? गिव इट अ डीप थॉट. आप क्या चाह रहे हो? See, we are living in a highly populated country. Agreed. Competition is high, right? Are these two the main reasons that we are making the child pay a price for these things? You have to think through that. Garima is saying we can't afford a private college. How many marks is he getting right now, Garima? 85%. So 85% के ऊपर आप उसको कितना ले जाओगे? 85% से 100% लाना, 15% jump, what would that take? What would it really take to reach from 85 to 100? And is it a fair ask? See, you have to focus on what we should, focus is not about the outcome. We have to see where is the focus. हमारा focus सारा outcome पर है. But what is the process? I know it's a very, very tricky question. This needs, this clarity needs time, and it is easier said than done. But first of all, you have to understand what needs to be focused. What is the process? What is the process of working? Like, how is he doing what he is doing? Is he getting these marks while getting tensed, while becoming very, very serious, while losing all his friends, becoming a complete bookworm, eating junk food and just being on the laptop or in front of his books and just reading the whole day, and with thick glasses and everything, and forgetting to eat dinner, eat lunch, while putting undue effort? Is the child able to get these marks? Or is he getting these marks along with playing, along with exercising, along with, having time for other things, talking to mom, dad, uh, playing football or whatever he loves to do? So at least till class 10th, we should be very, very clear that at what, how are we, giving the time for the child to score marks? What is the process? 11th and 12th, okay, it comes later on. But what is right now happening is that we are putting too much of undue pressure right from class 5th, 6th, 7th. It's just, in my opinion, it's just not required. See, what happens with undue pressure? When you are giving so much pressure, but you are not energizing the child from within to take that pressure, what happens? He'll break down. When the real time to perform will come, he will not be, at that, in that phase only that he'll be able to give his best. So right now, at least till class 10th, even beyond also, one has to keep a balance. But till class 10th, ensure that you are not making his life imbalanced. When we say imbalanced, what does that mean? We all say, na, there is so much of work pressure at office. And what are we doing to our children? We are giving them that pressure right from childhood. Did we live that kind of childhood? How many of you lived that kind of childhood? No, I don't think any of us has really lived that kind of childhood. But from our children, we're expecting that competition is increasing. So you better study for these few years and then the whole life will be set. Is a life set for us? Are we all absolutely happy? Why are we expecting that children, if they will keep slogging for these many hours, they'll be absolutely happy? They will be happy when they have a balanced life. And these 80 to 90% scorers are the worst hit because we think that they have a very high potential, which they have. But the best part about these people are that along with studies, they are able to manage so much more. And then when we tell them that, no, you just focus on studies, then they start focusing more on the studies part, less on the games and extracurriculars and other things which were energizing them to do so well, with less studies also, with less number of hours also. When they put in extra 2 hours of study, the outcome is not 20% extra. The outcome is maybe just 2 to 3% extra. But those 2 hours, which could have gone into something very productive, something different from studies, have now been drained into studies only without much output. And you can observe this, you can write down the scores of your child, and you can compare and see if that is truly the case or not. See, we ourselves don't know what these 2 to 3% extra marks will do, because more than that, every child has a threshold. Of course, we have to take them high, and we'll talk about that also. But understand that one cannot jump from 85 to 100. So what we have to focus on is the process. So I'll give you a small example. So for example, the child is not getting good marks in math. But when he studies math, he thinks that he knows a lot of things. Now you have been observing that, मैथ आता है, पढ़ता भी है, बट केयरलेस मिस्टेक्स बहुत ज़्यादा हो रही हैं, राइट? होता है, सबके साथ होता है. आई थिंक दिस इज समथिंग वेरी वेरी कॉमन. सो व्हाट डू वी डू व्हेन वी फेस सच अ सिचुएशन? विल ईदर हैव अ कोचिंग क्लास कि चलो प्राइवेट कोचिंग कर लेते हैं, या विल से कि अच्छा चलो थोड़ा और एक्स्ट्रा बुक्स में से भी पढ़ लेते हैं, और नंबर ऑफ आवर्स ऑफ मैथ बढ़ा देते हैं. हर रोज ही मैथ करना है क्योंकि आप केयरलेस मिस्टेक्स करते हो. अब हर रोज ही मैथ करना है क्योंकि आप केयरलेस मिस्टेक करते हो इज नॉट द सॉल्यूशन. इट इज अ सॉल्यूशन, ऑफ कोर्स यू शुड बी कंसिस्टेंट, बट केयरलेस मिस्टेक भी कहां पर हो रही है? गो टू दैट लेवल. Typically, a coaching teacher will not go to that level that you as a parent have to do. When you will sit with the child and you will see कि अच्छा उसने solve कैसे किया है question को. Maybe some children are so smart that they just try to do everything mentally and not on paper. And then we start telling them that आपका तो mentally अच्छा होता है, mentally अच्छा नहीं होता है, आप careless mistakes करते हो, आप प्लीज लिखना शुरू कर दो. हमने उसकी इंटेलिजेंस को बढ़ने से पहले ही रोक दिया. हमने कहा कि नहीं नहीं आप लिखना शुरू कर दो. हम देख रहे हैं कि मेंटली उससे गलतियां हो रही हैं, बट सिर्फ मार्क्स के लिए वी आर मेकिंग देम फ्रॉम मेंटल पर्सन टू राइटिंग पर्सन. एंड 99% पेरेंट्स आर डूइंग दिस, एंड आई कैन रियली वाउच ऑन दैट. मत करो, डोंट डू दैट. अगर मार्क्स एक दो कम आ रहे हैं स्कूल में बिकॉज ऑफ हिज बीइंग मेंटली शार्प एंड ही इज बीइंग losing some steps, it's okay. When I say don't worry about marks till class 10th, it is because ये जो हमारा मार्किंग का पैटर्न है ना, that will not make the child intelligent. It is just to get those marks, and those marks have no value. आपके मार्क्स कोई पूछता है 9th-10th में कितने आए थे? We all know. It's just our ego, or it is like कि सबके आ रहे हैं तो इतना तो इसके भी आ सकते हैं, तो क्यों नहीं? आप पर्पस पूछो ना. थिंक ओवर इट. अगर आपको बच्चे के साथ बैठना है और समझना है कि उसकी कोई टेबल्स वीक हैं जिसको वो मेंटली प्रोसेस कर देता है, या राइटिंग में हो सकता है ही इज राइटिंग बट रफ वर्क में व्हेन ही इज राइटिंग ही इज नॉट एबल टू रीड हिज ओन हैंड राइटिंग, तो वो 2 को 5 पढ़ रहा है या कुछ ऐसा कर रहा है जिसकी वजह से गलतियां हो रही हैं, या रफ वर्क कॉलम को इतने खराब तरह से यूज कर रहा है कि क्वेश्चन नंबर 1, 5 it's all hodgepodge. So what I'm saying is that work on the process, that where all can improvements be made at a very very close and deep level, so that you know कि okay improvement कहाँ आ सकता है. just by saying कि भाई आप थोड़ा सा ना इतना खेलने के साथ इतने मार्क्स आ गए, तो अब बिना खेले तो इतने और आ जाएंगे. That is typically what everyone is doing these days. Don't get into that race, right? Understand the reason behind less marks. Many times it is like the teacher is not good, or the previous teachers were not good, or there is a fear of teacher. Not good का मतलब not good नहीं, कई बार होता है कि वो सब्जेक्ट जैसे से एक्सप्लेन करते हैं, children are not able to relate to that, or they are at a different level, right? How many of you have felt that teacher really governs the way a child loves the subject? Yeah, it really affects, right? So if you think that the child does not enjoy the subject only, do 1 or 2 chapters with him. No, you will see why is the child losing interest. Like my son was not enjoying his Hindi lessons, and I was like, "Ki हमारे time में तो हिंदी बहुत अच्छी थी. I used to enjoy." बट व्हेन आई रेड हिज बुक आई रियलाइज दैट यार ये तो बुक ही डिफरेंट है. हमारे टाइम की एनसीईआरटी वाज डिफरेंट, देयर एनसीईआरटी इज वेरी वेरी डिफरेंट. दीज वर्ड्स are from such old, I don't know which language, such old Hindi which it's so difficult to understand. It's not normal Hindi. It's very dated Hindi. And they are like really long, long chapters which are just going on and on for no reason. अब बच्चे को उसमें इंटरेस्ट कैसे आएगा? मुझे ही नहीं आ रहा. हाउ कैन आई एक्सपेक्ट कि बच्चे को भी इंटरेस्ट है, आप इसमें टाइम लगाओ? हम लाइक ठीक है छोड़ो, इट्स ओके. नहीं इंटरेस्ट आ रहा, इट्स ओके, देखा जाएगा. आई मीन लेट्स give it to them. The syllabus really needs some overhaul. We know that, right? तो जब तक वो नहीं हो रहा है, एटलीस्ट बच्चों को समझने दें. इट्स ओके, चलेगा. कहीं और अच्छा कर रहा है, करने दो. राइट. सेकंड इज सेट अप माइलस्टोन्स. सेटिंग अप माइलस्टोन्स कि ओके अभी हम इस पर फोकस करते हैं, फिर हम इस पर फोकस करेंगे, फिर हम इस पर फोकस करेंगे. डोंट ट्राई टू डू एवरीथिंग टुगेदर, और डोंट ट्राई टू कीप इट सो वेग कि मार्क्स अच्छे लाने हैं बस, कैसे भी लाने हैं. अरे आप उसको बताओ ना कैसे, किस चीज पर वो फोकस करे. जस्ट कि अभी 85 ही पे आ गया और बेटर हो सकता था, उनका तो इतना आ गया, वो तो बच्चा खेलने भी नहीं जाता, ये देखो एग्जाम से पहले वाले दिन भी खेलने गया. बहुत अच्छी बात है कि वो एग्जाम से पहले वाले दिन भी खेल रहा था. इसका मतलब ये है कि वो टेंशन लिए बिना, ही इज नॉट टेंस्ड अबाउट द एग्जाम. हम कहते हैं तुम्हें कोई चिंता ही नहीं है, कल एग्जाम है और तुम खेल रहे हो. अरे व्हाई आर वी मेकिंग एग्जाम समथिंग विच इज लाइक कि हवा. ये तो बहुत अच्छी बात है कि बच्चे के अंदर इतना कॉन्फिडेंस है कि वो एग्जाम को एज अनदर टेस्ट ले रहा है कि ठीक है तो है, सारे साल पढ़ा है, जाकर के दे दूंगा. व्हाट इज द बिग डील? दिस एटीट्यूड इज व्हाट इज going to set this guy apart when he goes anywhere in life. अभी हम अपना पूरा का पूरा सब कुछ नैरो डाउन करके बस 10th 12th के मार्क्स पर लाके फिनिश कर देते हैं, और फिर सोचते हैं कि अच्छा उसका अच्छा से कॉलेज में हो जाएगा, प्लेसमेंट लग जाएगा, हो गया. बट that is when the life starts. The real life starts after they get into a company, and that time they have to again unlearn all these things to learn new things, right? So you have to focus कि अच्छा बच्चे का क्या चीज पे हमें वर्क करना है. इज इज प्रायोरिटाइजेशन रॉन्ग, और इज इज टाइम मैनेजमेंट रॉन्ग? कई बार क्या होता है कि लाइक यू हैव द एग्जाम स्टार्टिंग फ्रॉम से इंग्लिश, मैथ, साइंस, एसएसटी. अब बच्चे ने पहले इंग्लिश पढ़ना शुरू किया, और जब लास्ट डे आया तब वो एसएसटी पढ़ा, लेकिन नेक्स्ट डे एग्जाम इंग्लिश का है, या फिर एसएसटी रह ही गया. उसने ये नहीं सोचा कि वो लास्ट है तो उससे स्टार्ट करूं, या मतलब इसके ऊपर कोई डिस्कशन नहीं हुआ. या जो उसको आता है उसको पहले करूं, या जो नहीं आता उसको पहले करें. They just do as per what they think can be right, and we are not guiding them there, right? So we have to focus on what is in our control. Marks are not in our control, and marks आने के बाद भी 100% हमारी गारंटी है. कोई गारंटी नहीं ले सकता कि कहाँ एडमिशन मिलेगा और कहाँ नहीं मिलेगा, right? What is in our control? The time that is spent on right things in right balance. You know, in our hand is that child lives a healthy lifestyle, that child is happy, that he does not need constant reminders to do his work. That is very very important. That the child has self belief and is confident. एक एग्जाम में कम मार्क्स आए तो वो इतना नहीं परेशान हो गया कि नेक्स्ट एग्जाम के लिए पढ़ ही नहीं पा रहा है. अभी आधे से ज्यादा इंटेलिजेंट बच्चों का यही प्रॉब्लम है. एक एग्जाम जब खराब हुआ, वो नेक्स्ट एग्जाम के लिए पढ़ना स्टार्ट करने में ही हाफ डे तो निकल ही जाता है एटलीस्ट, बिकॉज दे आर सो मच अटैच टू देयर दिस थिंग कि अरे ये कैसे हो गया, एक क्वेश्चन छूट गया तो कैसे छूट गया, मैंने इसे कैसे नहीं पढ़ा. दे आर जस्ट ब्लेमिंग देमसेल्व्स. दे आर नॉट एबल टू कम आउट ऑफ दैट मोड ओनली बिकॉज वो इतना ज्यादा उसके अंदर घुसे हुए हैं. दे आर नॉट टेकिंग इट जस्ट एज अनदर टेस्ट. ईच एंड एवरी क्वेश्चन, ईच एंड एवरी टेस्ट इज लाइक अ लाइफ एंड डेथ सिचुएशन. it's not right. Not for young kids at least. आप बाद में भी नहीं है सही, लेकिन at least till class 10th ensure that you are not giving pressure to the child for each and every small thing. आप प्रोसेस पे फोकस करो, उसके नंबर ऑफ आवर्स पर ना करके प्रोसेस पे फोकस करो. नंबर ऑफ आवर्स भी आप धीरे धीरे बढ़ाओ, बट किस टाइम पे पढ़ना है. फॉर एग्जाम्पल अर्ली मॉर्निंग आवर्स आर गिविंग हिम मोर बेनिफिट, और स्कूल से आकर थोड़ा खेलने के बाद इफ ही स्टडिंग देन ही इज मोर इफेक्टिव. तो आप इस पर फोकस करो कि वो होलिस्टिकली क्या क्या चीज के साथ पढ़ाई अच्छे से कर सकता है, ना कि सब कुछ छोड़ के वो कैसे पढ़ाई कर ले. व्हाट वी डू इज कि अब तो 8th में आ गया, अब तो एक्स्ट्रा करिकुलर्स का टाइम ही नहीं है. क्यों टाइम नहीं है? कोई 24 घंटे पढ़ सकता है. एक्स्ट्रा करिकुलर्स का टाइम कहाँ चला जाता है जब बच्चा 8th में आ जाता है? This is something that we really have to think through. Obesity is at its peak amongst the children. We have to think, what are we doing as parents to let this situation happen, right? So the main focus has to be on maintaining the right balance, and time is not the right parameter. The right parameter is focus. Where is our attention? It can never be just the outcome alone. It cannot be on studying just one subject. It cannot be on doing things unproportionately, right? It's not कि SST में अच्छे मार्क्स नहीं आए तो बाकी सब छोड़ के SST पढ़ने लग जाओ, right? We want them to work harder, which is good, right? And there is no doubt about it. Children should work hard. There is no time of relaxation in a student's life. But even playing is hard work. Even reading a book is hard work. Everything needs hard work. Learning to practice piano, learning chess is also hard work. Maintaining that balance in life is also hard work. So hard work is not just slogging, and we don't have to, unintentionally we push them into slogging, but the vocabulary that we use. So we have to be very mindful of the vocabulary that we are using with children, and that comes from how we think. So just focus on that, and know this, that 80 to 90% वाला जो बच्चा है ना, they are like very very bright. They are having a huge potential, but at this stage when they are young, when they're growing up, don't just focus on कि इनके full marks कैसे आ जाएं. 2 marks और आ सकते थे, वो 2 marks extra जो लाने होते हैं ना, that is a huge task. वो 2 marks extra लाने के लिए उसका सब कुछ मत छुड़वाओ, अभी नहीं एटलीस्ट. Okay. I think that is what I had to say. And I know इसके ऊपर बहुत बहुत ज़्यादा questions आने वाले हैं. And we are opening the form. So everyone who is on Zoom, I'm opening the forms for you. So you can fill up the Excel. Next week, we'll be taking all the question answers. So I'll be taking it from this session and the previous sessions also. Whatever questions you have, you can fill in there, and be very, very specific. You can, give your specific questions, and we'll try to address as many as possible over 1 or 2 sessions, right? So just remember, Saturday, Sunday, we'll not be meeting. Now we'll be meeting on Monday at 9:30 instead of 9:15 now onwards. Okay. Okay. Thank you so much. Good night.